Welcome back, Nine World Chronicles, and yeah, today I think I got a good one, man. I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. Like, I actually put a lot of effort into this most recent live stream. I think you guys are gonna be able to get a lot out of this. I'm not joking, right? Like, in terms of like what I put out for you guys, right? The effort's always high, right? And to me, that's just like a level of love, right? That's saying like, for me, because what we're ultimately doing is just sharing some knowledge, right? Like, we're just sharing knowledge amongst each other. So like, I'm very proud of that fact. I'm not gonna joke with you guys. I'm extremely proud of the fact that what I do with my time is like just kind of beneficial. It's helpful. It's just kind of like what a cool guy would do. Like, you chill, you share some knowledge, like you along, and like you promote, genuine conversations, right? Like, I think that what I do, it's fun, but I think it's like very thought provoking. It takes a little bit of like historical context along with it, right? Like, it's a lot of stuff going on there, man. But the main thing is that we're just sharing stories together, man. Like, I'm here for your mythological queries, right? As it were. Like, I'm essentially like the Leon Phelps of, mythology, right? Like, that's me. He was a ladies' man. I'm more like the mythology man, right? Like, we just sit down, we break down mythology in a big way, like large scale mythology. We take on all the big frameworks and pantheons and try to make it like all relatable stuff. And, the whole idea is that, it's mellow. We can just kind of chill and listen to some decent music. This is my little theme song here. So I'm just kind of totally into it and just, gonna vibe. And it's an early Sunday morning for me. So definitely I'm just like chilling out right now, right? So it's reunited, and it feels so good. So this morning, and forgive me while I'm just kind of letting my TikTok stream get set up here. It's just taking a little bit of time. But obviously it's a lot easier when you can do like one stream and it go to multiple sites for you, right? So there's no shame in that, right? So I'm getting that set up so I can drop this once and actually put myself into it like in a really good way. And that's what I want to do. Why are you not already there? Right. Man, TikTok be requiring a lot, man. It's always like a, extra step. It's never just an easy, I turn you on and you just get right into it. But not to keep you guys held up. Looks like we've already got some people in. So welcome, by the way, back to Nine World Chronicles. I'm looking forward to this myth breakdown for you guys today, because we're going to get into like one of the staples of mythology, right? And I've kind of avoided talking about Zeus just because everybody talks about Zeus, right? Like, he's one of the most like well discussed figures in mythology, going on like since the beginning of time. So in that term, you kind of say, what else can we really go over with Zeus? And to be really honest, let me get my notes here. I'm gonna be professional with my notes here. To be honest with you, he's not even among my favorites in mythology. Like, really, Zeus really isn't among my favorites in mythology, right? Because of, and I'll explain why. Just how we've learned about Zeus, or the info set up about Zeus, it doesn't paint him as like a great picture, right? Like, Zeus doesn't seem like a great guy, at least not to me. Like, when I'm listening or I'm learning about Zeus, like, he's never seemed like a great guy, right? It's Zeus talk today, right? I'm just kind of setting up my my other audience here. Okay, we're totally doing Zeus talk today, right? So in my estimation, like, Zeus has always kind of been, like one of the more polarizing characters to me, right? Because like, you can be loyal and faithful to Zeus and do all your worshiping, and he still like sleeps with your daughter, right? Like, no matter what, like, he's gonna sleep with your daughter or your wife or somebody that you care about. Like, he's going to do it, and he does it in like the most insidious ways, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's a big part of Zeus that I cannot ignore. I can't ignore jackass Zeus. Like that's ridiculous Zeus. I can't ignore that Zeus, and that's the part of Zeus that we see a lot. So like, when we talk about Hollywood versions of Zeus, we talk about what we see in town. Like, he's way out there where he's more of a personality, who's associated with all this stuff that he does, right? He does all this stuff. Like, this is what we know about Zeus. These are the 3 things I can count on with Zeus, right? He throws lightning, right? That he definitely does that. He cheats on his wife, right? We know that part, right? And he turns into animals to bang chicks, right? That's who Zeus is, right? We don't have to hide behind that, right? And so I've never pivoted off of that point that this is why I really don't mess with Zeus, man. There's a lot of, like most deities, I don't mess with anyway. To be real, I'm not actively messing with anybody in that regard, but like I particularly don't mess with Zeus because of that, right? Like this is kind of where he is. But Zeus actually is a lot more than that, right? So today I'm going to talk about like the capacity that Zeus has in other formats, like the other things that he's actually done, right? Because there's more than one Zeus. There's absolutely more than one Zeus. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about like the faces of Zeus, like the many faces of Zeus, right? And you see him there, man. Zeus has got, a lightning bolt. He's got like a scroll. He's got a parchment. That's representing who he is, right? So the first Zeus, which is right here, which is, let me move my MythLab out of the way, get it off this guy's face, right? This is Zeus Carinios, right? This is Zeus of the Thunderbolt. Carinios. I believe I'm saying that correctly, right? And this is an important aspect of who Zeus is. Right off the bat, this is a little more familiar to all of us and what we're used to Zeus being known as, right? Like when we talk about Zeus, this is who we're thinking about right here. We're most often thinking about this version of Zeus right here, right? And that's totally fine, right? Because it's kind of an accurate version of Zeus in a limited capacity. Now, when we talk about this version of Zeus, Carinios, right? Nuos, right? This means thunderbolt. So literally, this adaptation of his name does mean thunderbolt, right? In every single way. This is about storm power. This is about sudden divine intervention. His symbol, obviously in this format, was the thunderbolt, and it's often bundled as a missile of fire as well. So you can kind of get what this Zeus is all about. Like this is the most visually recognizable persona of Zeus, right? Upright, bearded, armed raised, got a lightning bolt in hand. Like he's fully ready to do exactly what he does, right? This isn't just like aesthetics. This is like jurisdictional. This is who is. Lightning is considered to be evidence of his divine nature. So that's the whole thing, and I would agree with that. If you can hold a bolt of lightning in your hand, you're something special, right? Like I'm just gonna go ahead and say you're something special if you can hold a bolt of lightning in your hand. So all this none of it was random. Like so in functional Greek mythology, it was a sign of approval. It was a sign of warning as well, and it was a sign of condemnation, because he could, with these strikes, he could sanctify any type of like polluted land. Like he could literally root out any type of corruption in a land and a people with the lightning bolt. So this Zeus Carinios, right, operates as a cosmic enforcer. He is like the instant executor, right? This is really like a strong association of who Zeus is at this time, right? He has a boundary marker between the mortal world and the divine space. So this is not just storm imagery. This is a sovereign expression, right? He is sovereign as the sky god. Don't come over here, right? There is a dividing line between me and you. And he handles everything that comes into his space. Now, this Zeus goes way back in time. Like, this is the important thing, that when we look at like the chronology of Zeus, this is way back, right? So we're talking this version of Zeus first comes about in Mycenaean roots. So we're going all the way back like 1600 BCE, and there are literally tablets. So there are tablets, and we never hear about tablets of Zeus, right? And there are some associations for storm gods that even predate this classic period in Greek mythology. So what he's doing, like the way that we get to Zeus is not directly Zeus, right? He didn't just show up and he was Zeus, right? They built Zeus layered on other belief systems. So we're talking like the proto, like Indo-European sky figures, right? So that's where we start to build Zeus. And Zeus in this format is never even just built by himself. There are other parallels in other cultures already, right? So, and we've talked about some of them here, at least I have, right? We talked about Indra in Vedic mythology, right? Who is like the storm welder. We talked about the Hittite. And then, of course, we get this like Jupiter immersion from the Romans, right? So long ago, the thunderbolt was identified as the symbol, long before it was uniquely attached to Zeus, right? Then there's the Archaic period, right? So we're talking about 800 CE, and this is where it becomes this version of Zeus, Zeus the Thunderbolt, Zeus Caranosus, right? Caranosus, right? I'm not even pronouncing that right. He becomes firmly established as the cult practices throughout the world. So he has empires in Olympia, in Arcadia. These are places where his cult centers operate. Now, coming through into the classical period, which is about 500 BCE to about 323, right? This iconography is standardized in scriptures, sculptures, and in coins. So him holding the thunderbolt is known. This thunderbolt is shaped as the cluster, right? Like, so he's cemented as this. So this is kind of this historical timeline of this particular Zeus. And we're going to talk about the others, like, and how they sit in this scenario as well. Then we get to the Hellenistic period, and this is post Alexander the Great. This symbol merges with the storm god, right? So Zeus the lightning, or Zeus Caranius, right? Caranius, right? Merges with the Eastern storm deity. So it becomes, Alexander himself starts to adopt the thunderbolt symbolism, and Zeus becomes, in this form, a political symbol. Now, always with Zeus, in terms of rituals and cultural practices, there were always sacrifices made after the lightning strike, right? There was a sacred precincts who were created at strike locations. So if there is a place where a lightning strike went down, that often became a sacred place. So Zeus was literally creating his own worship sites just by throwing a bolt of lightning down. So every place that he touched became a sacred site. And thunder became seen as this like communication device. Like thunder was Zeus directly speaking to you, right? So lightning became divine speech by this period of time. And in some traditions, thunder preceded political assemblies were interpreted as being omens. So if you heard some thunder before something went down, that was actually a good sign. So this Zeus of the lightning, is therefore linked to political authority, right? This is judicial validation. This is state power, like at the highest level. And in theological sense, right, this Zeus of lightning represents sudden intervention. This is hierarchy enforcement. This is atmospheric sovereignty, because the thunderbolt is it, man. It's an instant strike. This is decision. This is judgment. This is supremacy. This is all this stuff woven in one, right? In this narrative, this Zeus here, like the Titans fall to this Zeus. Giants burn to this Zeus. Order is restored under this Zeus. So this Zeus, man, this Zeus is no joke, right? In this manifestation, who he faces down were in his time at the throne, right? And in terms of myth, like, these are some of the best myths about Zeus come out of this form of Zeus here. He defeats the Titans. He defeats Titan. This is like Typhon pulled up. If you guys want to read about an epic pulling up, I think this might be the first pull up in all history where Zeus is already established. This is after the Titanomachy, where he's taken over, right? And Typhon, who is, like Typhoon, is the Lord of Storms, pulls up to Mount Olympus and like, let's get it on. And obviously, we're not talking about his story, so I guess you guys can all imagine who won that fight. He defeats Typhon at his doorstep. He punishes all the oath breakers, and just in myth, he's known for smiting people that get out of line, right? Zeus does never tolerate. Now, in culture, he represents this fear of unpredictable weather, and they needed this agricultural stability. Like, at this time, that was still an important thing. So storm control equals survival control. In a pre-scientific world, you have to remember, like, this is way before we knew what lightning and thunder were. It's scary right now. A really loud lightning and thunder is scary to me right now. So imagine when we had no scientific idea of what it actually was. So these were some terrifying concepts that people were dealing with on a daily basis, and they were attributing this power to Zeus. So this is kind of our first, right? First Zeus Kyrineos, right? So Zeus Kyrineos, this is Zeus of the Thunderland, comes from ancient Mycenaean roots, and is still, like, I think, the dominant format of Zeus right now, right? So we're going to step on to the next version that we get of Zeus, and this is going to be here Zeus Xenos, right? And this is a different type of Zeus fundamentally, right? This Zeus, and I'm not joking, it's almost going to sound funny when we talk about this Zeus here, because this is the Zeus of hospitality and the stranger. No joke. That's why you see how he's kind of greeting you. He's got a mellow look on his face, right? He looks very relaxed. He's stern, but he's welcoming. He's serious about welcoming you to Mount Olympus, I'm assuming, or into civilization. So this is a different Zeus who governs under this code of this sacred relationship between a host and a guest. Like, imagine that. Imagine the sacred relationship that exists. This was classic Greek courtesy, right? This was law. Like, this was not a literal civic law, right? They didn't have laws written down that are like, yeah, you need to be accommodating to some strangers when they come over your house, right? But this was like cultural law. This was sacred law. This is like a stranger arriving at your doorstep was under Zeus's protection. And here's the thing. From what I understand about the ancient world, this shit happened all the time. There's always some like, if you guys read enough old antiquity stories, there's always somebody just showing up at your house unannounced. I probably wouldn't be able to operate within this system because, like, yeah, I'm not really having it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but maybe not, okay? But this is how it operated in those days. And I guess because it was needed. All this is just cultural expression. Like people wouldn't write this stuff unless for some reason they thought it was important to actually put this down. So this was a sacred law. This was Zeus's law that if someone is rolling at your doorstep, right, you give them Zeus's protection. So that means you do not treat them, you don't mistreat them, you're not rude to them, right? This is extremely important. This is the highest level of importance that Zeus felt like I needed to get down on this, right? So it's protection of strangers. It is a witness of host and guest contracts. You have a contract, and this is, enforcement of reciprocal obligation, right? So this is Zeus as a guardian of civilization at among the most interpersonal levels. Zeus is regulating, like, be cool with strangers when they come by. I don't know what he felt about immigration. I don't know if he ever said anything about that on a larger scale, but I do know Zeus is basically saying, if someone shows up at your house, be cool, be hospitable to them. It seems like it's more like this is kind of Southern hospitality, right? It's what we're seeing out of Zeus. Now, the whole idea of it is this Xena was a structured exchange system. A host had to. They must offer you food. They must offer you shelter. They must offer you protection. And they must provide a parting gift. That's a lot. That's a lot considering I didn't even know you were coming over here. Like, maybe food, shelter, like, gotta protect you. I mean, I guess if you're in my home, but now I gotta give you a gift. Like, I'm drawing the line. And I'm drawing the line and I gotta give you a gift. Like, or I'm gonna have some pre-gifts already set up. Like, you're gonna get some stuff and you're gonna wonder, I'm gonna be giving it to you a gift, but it's really something I just wanted to get out of my house. But anyway, these are the rules of what you have to do as the host, right? But here's what the guest also has a set of rules. They have to show respect. This is the rule. They have to not abuse your hospitality. They have to offer news or connections. So they have to bring you information. Hey, I come from such and such, and this is what's going on there, which is vital. I can really understand how this works because information or connections, this was vital in a time when you did not have the internet or cell phones or paper, right? You couldn't just write stuff down. You didn't have a mail system. You couldn't text anybody, right? There was no Reddit. So you can imagine how important exchanging information was, right? And I tell you guys all the time, man, spreading knowledge, this is the sincerest form of love. Somebody that puts you up on game. So now this puts a lot of it in context. If I don't have anything, you bring me hey, I brought a book, I got some stuff you can copy, whatever the case may be. Those things become increasingly valuable. And it also says that that person will maintain this future reciprocity, right? I'm not just going to come over and take from you and then go over to your neighbor's house and I'm going to take from him. I'm not going to do that, right? So there's within that. And then if you travel to my land and you knock on my door, I'm going to be like, hey, what's going on? Come on in. Like, we're going to give that reciprocity. So this is what the system is all about. This is how important it is. And this, again, like, this is a reflection of what was going on culturally at that period of time, right? This is like, when we're talking about, this is this is about 800, BCE, 800, 500. This is like a clearly articulated in literature and cultural practice. This is a part of it, right? And even if you see in the Odyssey, there are components of it that witness the importance of this. As he's traveling, I think you're right. I'm drawing a blank on some of the Odyssey stories, but I know they would stop places. They would always bring you in. You get a meal, right? They give you some shelter. That was pretty standard, and that's the only way you could get around in the ancient world. Otherwise, we couldn't get around the ancient world because there's no Holiday Inns. There's no place to stay. There's no mobile parks at this time. We're always looking for the next point of shelter. So the home became an integral part of it for that period of time. If you want people to run around trying to figure out where all these different, where's the Nicaean, the Nemenian lion at? Where is the golden fleece at? Somebody's got to move around and gather all this information. So vastly important. Now going into the classic period, they have more formalized diplomacy. And they have the concept of this sacred worship, and this extends even further. So what we're seeing is Zeus Xenos evolves even further, and this becomes hospitality level disciplines, right? Now geographically, this Zeus was not local, right? The previous Zeus was often associated with the mountain. Like, Xenos appears wherever Greek civilization was. So he's known for spreading around. He's known specifically tied to travel in ancient Mediterranean, was known to be a dangerous endeavor. So hospitality networks literally made this possible. Without it, this would have severely limited how people exchange information or even learned. Not just I'm sharing information when I get here, but I'm learning stuff on all these travels. And this is when you think about the great, Hesiod and all the great, not Dionysus, the other writer, right? The few Greek writers, or the few, there's many. They went out and they had to exist in these hospitality networks, and they extended beyond the Greek Empire to other cultures. How you could stay in other kingdoms and learn about their culture and bring that information back while exchanging information with them. So this is a great time. This is absolutely very real, right? And this would be even in study, you see where they talk about Hermes visits mortals and he's disguised as a traveler, right? There's tons of stories they wanted to see what you would do, right? And they run into this poor couple, and it's the inhospitable town ultimately is destroyed. That's what they did. They have reinforcement stories written in the myth that if they come to your house, and you never know when it's Hermes, right? You hear a knock, you're like, brother, who is it? And I don't know if just not answering the door gets you out of it, right? I don't know if not answering the door gets you out of it. Where you're well, I wasn't rude to him. I just didn't answer the door, right? And I don't know if you get a check out for that. But he knocks on your door and he comes in, and if you're not cool with him, you're gonna have a problem later. So they're always testing you. That's one of the downsides about the Greek system. Is all right, you can't set traps. I don't know. It seems like that's out of the boundaries of authority. But we are seeing the important thing we're seeing is this reveals this layer of Zeus reveals a part of Greek culture that I wasn't even aware was there, right? We hear the stories, but I never knew that there was a culture of I'm learning all this stuff right now, right? I'm spreading information, and this is how it moves. There had to be a mechanism and a network behind it, and so this is what it is. So this was a functional narrative about sanctity and borders, the sacredness of vulnerability, you're out there being tested. And this is moral testing for societies. We see that. And these kind of stories get reflected in other stuff. I know there's a biblical story where they come and they're yeah, there were angels, and the angels get there and they're yeah, We want to know them, right? Doesn't sound like that was going on. It sounds like you go to Greek town and they wouldn't necessarily have to know you while you were there, right? And that's got to be a massive release, because some other guys working the same job are like, dude, they tried to know us. What do you mean they wanted to know you? They wanted to know us. You dig what I'm telling you? And that's not cool. So this is kind of what we're getting at. Like, this how you view the stranger, right? It's a moral test. The stranger can be a threat, but also can be a sacred charge that you're put in front of, like you're repping the whole culture. It could be that. But without this Xena, travel collapses, trade collapses, alliances collapse. And you need all of these as connective tissue if you're going to grow an empire. You got to have somebody, and these were long distances. And I never saw a lot of horses, right? There were a few. You had to walk there a long distance. You needed someplace where you could go and just get some water and the people be cool. Like, oh, you're traveling, here's some water, dude. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, you're on your way. Yeah, you watch out for this. There's a fire over there. What did you hear in Shimoda Village, right? So we see this, like, even like if you go to some anime, now they talk a lot about the wandering, the traveler, right? He always carried information, and it was always something that happened at Shimoda Village, and the whole village was done. Right, so there's always information. They were telling you where this stuff was going down. So this is a part of Zeus that I did not know, and we see others like I said. This is repeated outside of Indo-European context. We see it like Norse mythology has guest rituals that are very similar. Vedic culture has ritual hospitality. The Romans had their own form of this, and it was built in Greece. It becomes divine. And because it's at the top, like Zeus is the personal one that's responsible for it. Zeus is the one who's in charge of it. If you don't do it, man, he's always like, most of the time he's got a lightning bolt on deck. So you got to remember, like, he's going to have a lightning bolt on deck whenever you decide to go sideways with the blessings. Remember that, right? There's always this, okay? There's always this guy. You can get this guy, right? Right now, he's like, I'm trying to give you this guy. And this guy is like, yeah, when you see some strangers run through the land, like be cool with them, man. Be cool. Because if you don't, dun dun dun, all of a sudden this guy's back, right? And you don't want this guy with one of those loaded for loaded. Like, imagine he's just sitting there. Right? I imagine Zeus is just like wherever, like sitting on his throne, right? Because he didn't have anything to do today, right? Imagine he's just sitting there and he's just like it's not even like I see someone, I'm like, you know what? Let me get a lightning bolt. He's like this. He's like sitting there watching you, seeing who he's gonna get. And it better not be you, because he came down here with this form. He came down here today and said, okay, I'm gonna be nice, Zeus, and I'm telling you just to be cool, to reciprocate. But it always, it all hinges on the fact that there's the reciprocal part of it, that everyone has restraint, everyone has respect on both sides. So in this form, Zeus is obviously not violent Zeus, and this is like, a more refined Zeus that we're seeing. And thank you, Zeus. Thank you for supporting this network, right? But it gets even better, right? Like now Zeus, like I'll never forgive Zeus for the fact that he will sleep with your wife or your daughter like it is nothing, and then laugh at you about it later, right? I'm not gonna forgive him for that, okay? I just refuse, right? I just can't trust you around. All right, I'm being serious, Zeus. Okay, even though that kid's probably going league, and you know what? Are you maybe doing me a favor, Zeus? Now I've got a whole different perspective. Maybe this kid goes league, but whatever. Like, the many faces of Zeus requires that we go even deeper. Zeus is like that product that you buy and they say, but not just that. That's not enough. Yeah, this thing will cut through tin cans and slice through a tomato, right? But it's not enough. Like, he still gives us even more, right? Even more. And this is the last Zeus that we're going to talk about. There's other versions, right? This is Zeus Horkios, right? This is Zeus Horkios. And this is the Zeus of oaths. This is a very, very important Zeus as well. You see he's got his hand up. He's like, I swear we're going to make this happen, right? This is a very stern Zeus. He's not playing around. He's a little more uncapped, just a lot more serious Zeus who he is. But the core identity of this Zeus is this is divine witness and the enforcer of sworn speech. So this is where it gets real. This is where, like, if you're making like some type of religious oath, whatever it is, this is not symbolic. This is not symbolic. This is real life. This is binding 100% real life, right? Sign your name across my heart, right? This is what it is. This is all that stuff. So when somebody swore by Zeus, like you swore by Zeus, like I don't mean put that on Oakland. This is not the same as I put that on Oakland. This is even deeper than I'm put that on Oakland, right? This is even deeper than I put that on my mama, right? This is deeper than I put that on the whole hood, on every single level. Because none of them is going to come after you if you lie, okay? That's the difference between putting it on Oakland. When you put it on Oakland, Oakland never shows up to with that receipt in hand. He does. That's the difference. That's why it's more sacred. You can say you put that on Oakland all you want, but okay, it doesn't come with judgment, right? Zeus comes with all that. Now he's a witness. First of all, he's a witness, right? And I don't know if you realize this guy doesn't forget shit. He forgets nothing. He hasn't forgotten anything since forgetting stuff first came up. He was the first one to not forget anything. So he keeps all this stuff in memory, right? So he's there when you make the agreement and he's like, bing. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to punish anybody who lies. So if you lie, right off the bat, he's coming to get you. He is the guardian of truth-bound speech. That's who he is, right? So he's telling you 100%. And I think maybe this hand might be up here because he's going to smack you with this hand if you go sideways on this deal. So that's the whole thing. You have to come into this thing honestly. This is not Zeus as a storm. This is not Zeus as a social custom. This is a metaphysical guarantor of language. If you said it, right? If you speak about it, you better be about it. This is he's cutting off any type of dispute on speaking about it and being about it, right? Okay, this is the whole thing with him. He's not joking with you guys. So he is a formal declaration. He is spoken witness. He is often accompanied by ritual gesture or sacrifice, and it is invoking his name in a divine way. You are invoking Zeus as divine while you're doing this. So you take on all this, right? And the Greeks themselves, they look, again, a cultural expression. They were completely against false oaths, right? This is a time there's a lot of skepticism, particularly around faith. So people had to have honor-bound systems, especially when I couldn't Google you, right? I'm telling you guys right now, being able to Google somebody or like dox somebody, it changes everything, right? I know there's a lot of stuff I won't do. There's a lot of stuff I won't say on the internet just talking crazy, right? A lot of deals that people go out and make that they wouldn't make if there was a system to track you down. Zeus is that system. He's the first, okay, this is who that is, and he's keeping track of it. So if someone does me wrong, these things have major consequences. You couldn't just break an oath to Zeus and nothing happened, right? That's not, I don't know where you've been at. I don't know where you've been paying attention to, but if you break oaths that are associated with Zeus, now you're risking personal misfortune. Yeah, it's coming back to you. Now you're potentially taking on a family curse. Yeah, it's that real, like everybody in the clan. So check your family members and what they're talking about and doing out here in these streets. Also, you can face political disaster. So the oath itself, when you said, man, I put that on Zeus, man. I put that on Zeus, okay? When you put it on Zeus, there's consequences that come along with it. There's even consequences and repercussions. I would go as far as to say that there would be consequences and repercussions for your activities once you put Zeus's name on it, right? Once you stamp it on Zeus, right? That's on everything. Deeper than on Oakland, deeper than on your mama, right? Deeper than any of that stuff together, because he's going to enforce it. That's the problem. None of the other mechanisms that you have, nobody else is going to enforce whether you stuck to that deal or not. Your mom's not going to enforce it. I put that on my mom. She's not going to do anything about it, right? I put that on the hood. The hood doesn't be like, hey, you didn't do what you said you're going to do. And you put that on us, and that makes us look bad. So we're here to rectify the situation. Zeus does. He's keeping track. He's just like, yep. That's who Zeus is. So if you weren't paying attention and you didn't catch it earlier, he's also this guy, right? Remember this guy right here who's got a lightning bolt ready for you. Okay? Go ahead. Lie on your oath. Go break oath in my name. All right. Okay. You got your choices in life. You have your choices in life, and I only ask that you do the right thing. That's it. If there's any advice that I would give you is do the right thing and don't chew tobacco, all right? It's terrible. Do not you don't even just smoke it, but let alone chewing it is just ridiculous. Okay. Now, a lot of this information about this version of Zeus comes out roughly 8th century. So this is the theogony, right? This is like where he gets personified as a spirit. He is the embodiment of the oath. That he's born from strife. He is very important because he denies general conflicts, right? And in mythology, even the Olympian gods swear by the river Styx. Like, they swear. And if the god lies under that oath, man, they might fall into like a coma. They can be cut off from the divine count. So they had rules for breaking oaths as well. So culturally, what they were expressing is them taking this very seriously. Now, by this period of about 800 BCE, so we're getting a little closer in timeline, this oath taking becomes formalized in legal, military, and political settings. So this Zeus Hierarchies, right? Hierarchus is evoked between treaties, between states, between military pledges, and civic office vows, right? So this Zeus of oath has actual real implications going on into the classic period and Athenian courts. They require litigants to take formal oaths. So this is where it comes from. Literally, the idea of formal oaths comes from this Zeus. So unlike the previous Zeus, the lightning Zeus, which again had a mountain cult primarily and was more related to the agriculture or the landscape, this Zeus is everywhere. This Zeus is ritual. These are oaths that included like animal sacrifices, pouring out like libations. Like, everybody sees somebody pour out a little bit and they wonder, where are these coming from? Well, these guys are pouring out a little bit of liquor, just like everything else, right? Everybody pours out. There was physical contact with the sacred object, and you had to invoke through a formula. So there was a long process of signing this contract, but what you signed into, you were locked into. This is the sanctity of a spoken commitment. This is the danger of making false declarations that there was actually real-time punishment. There was invisible consequences of your language. So this was about governing like your verbal architecture, that all of us existed as language was really becoming stronger. Like contracts, alliances, marriage vows, military, all this stuff was very important. It worked into the political realm because it had implications for sworn oaths, for judges, for soldiers. This is it. Like, this is by comparative context. Like, this is how the Norse Tyre, who was associated with legal contracts. This is Jupiter as an oath witness. In Vedic, this is Mithra, who was the contract of guardians. So this goes on, and we see it, throughout other mythologies. But structurally, this gives us like 3 different sides of Zeus: one in nature control, one who controls social interaction, and one who controls language. So we're talking nature, society, and speech. These are not random ideas that are associated with one of the OGs of mythology period. Zeus is still probably one of the best known mythological names. And this is just an aspect of him that doesn't involve him sleeping with your daughter or your wife, right? Doing whatever he's got to do to get that, okay? This is not that, and then not being a dad. But again, that kid probably does go leave. But at any rate, thank you for stopping in. As always, if you're interested in more mythological breakdowns, I'm here for your mythological queries. You can always drop in the comment sections and let me know what queries you have. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get a little light lunch. I cooked some barbecue chicken yesterday, so I'm really eager to get back to that. And I'll be back. But as always, hit that like and subscribe. Okay, so I got the stepchildren out, but back here. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up, guys. And I will be back probably later this evening to do